We'll go on mute now.
Hello, everyone, the teachers, the students, the mentors who have joined us in a very special panel discussion on refining the digital product. We do hope that all of you, the mentees, the participant in the Tinkerpreneur 2024, must now have completed all the digital skilling sessions and now have decided what the digital product you are making. The digital product comes itself with own set of challenges as well as a regular feedback, and you also need to refine this digital product to make it worthy of submissions. And that's how our panelists right now will be giving you the directions on how to refine this digital product you all are making. Please listen to them because these all are the seasoned experts in their own field and will give you those insights which would be very, very beneficial to all of you. So first of all, let me welcome Dr. Avinash Jangiani. Welcome, sir. Dr. Avinash is a gem mentor of change from Maharashtra. He is a TEDx speaker, a Penguin published author, a Dreams curator, and a digital innovation consultant. He has over 25 years of experience and he has worked on the projects like Dream on India, social initiatives. He has also curated a book, India's first book of dreams, capturing over 10,000 children, vision of India's future. Very welcome, sir. You already know all the mentees that how vast the experience of Dr. Avinash is. Next, I'm welcoming Mr. Vilas Dharat. Namaste, sir. Welcome. He is a gem mentor of change from Maharashtra, associated with AIM Niti Aayog. He has more than 50 years of experience. So you can imagine how much he has the experience with several kind of the products. He is the son of ex-Indian Army officer, a textile engineer from VJTI Mumbai University. He has completed his post-graduation in business management from Mumbai University. And he is associated as the MD of Gharat and Associate, board member of Trustees Textile Association India, and strategic and commercial advisors to S. Kumar. Very welcome, sir, to this session. With this, I'm welcoming Mr. Hetal Sonpal, another seasoned expert with more than 25 years of experience. He is a mentor of change associated with AIM Niti Aayog. He is a seasoned and accomplished business leader in the technology industry. He is the CEO of GRG Gen Next, the latest incubator in Coimbatore. A graduate of Narsi Monji Mumbai, Hetal has held senior management positions at tech leaders, including Wipro, Microsoft, LinkedIn, and Intel across Asia. Beyond his professional endeavors, Hetal is a fitness enthusiast and an Iron Man, having completed 24 half marathons and 25 full marathons. And yes, I'm sure that with these entrepreneurs who are already on a marathon journey of or their digital product, I'm sure that Mr. Hetal Sonpal has so many insights to share with. Welcome.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And now, last but not least, I'm welcoming Mr. Kiran Kumar HS, again, the favorites of all, the Tinkerpreneur, the mentees. He has more than 28 years of experience in technology-based product development, product management, product engineering. He holds a master's degree in computer science from Illinois Institute of Technology, US, and a postgraduate diploma in business administration from Symbiosis, Pune. Very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you.
With this wealth of knowledge, with this wealth of experience and expertise in product development, let us move ahead with the expert sessions, with the expert discussions. So what we have curated in this session is 4 different kind of the rounds for all your Tinkerpreneurs. The first round will be targeting towards challenges involved in building the digital product, building a successful product, and a need for refining it. So it's not only about what you build, it's also about what you build best. And when you build best, you have to refine it regularly. And that's where we are right now. The second set will be towards what is the procedure involved in refining. Okay, what are the stages of refining? What are the phases of refining? The third would be how to create your own wow product. Okay, this is it. This is what I have being envisaging for in this Tinkerpreneur. And the last will be the skills, the attitude, and the mindset which is needed for building the right kind of the product. Okay, so without further ado, let us start with our first session, the first lot, the first round. Okay, so let me ask Mr. Hetal Soonpai as a starter. So, Hetal sir, what makes building digital products exciting and tough at the same time?
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks a lot, Shubham, for giving me the opportunity. And thank you to the fellow panelists. It's a pleasure meeting you guys. And hello, children. I'm excited. It's been a great journey so far with Tinkerpreneur. And I hope through this session, I'll be able to help you guys solve problems with regard to building digital products. So that's a very interesting question that you asked, Shubham. So I believe that digital products are exciting and tough at the same time because the entry barriers and exit barriers both are very low, right? You just need a laptop, or you don't even need a laptop. Sometimes just with a mobile phone you can actually build a digital product. So that's the advantage. That's a huge plus point. But at the same time, that's a huge challenge as well. Why? There are two things, right? One is what you can build as easily, all your competitors can build easily, right? So if you don't have a differentiator in terms of what you're building, whatever you build will get obsolete very fast. So if you don't update your knowledge on technology, which is reflected in the product that you're building, sooner or later someone else will build that product and kick you out. So that becomes the challenge. So while it's easy to come in, it's much more difficult to stay there. So that's the biggest challenge with digital products. The second aspect is the perception or understanding level of a digital product is far higher than any other product. So if I'm going to make a rocket engine, I would have 100, maybe 1,000 different parts which were involved in the rocket engine. And if I have to suppose to explain to someone how a rocket engine works, I'll probably need a year's time. But imagine if I build a website, I build a nice app for digital payment. One, two, three, four, four buttons, and the job is done. I can give him a bullet point, and the every user can understand how to use it. So those are the aspects without going too much into it. One is the entry barriers are low, but to stay up is difficult. Second is it is easy for perception and for people to understand. So usability levels are very high, which leads to a acceptability. So the acceptance of a digital product can spread rapidly, as we have observed in the digital ecosystem. Thanks, Shubham.
I guess wonderfully answered and put forward, easily understood too. Uh, Thank you. Dr. Avinash, in this continuity with the question, what are the top three reasons on why the digital products might fail? And subsequently, the impact and how we can address these unique challenges. Stick for those three important points and their related solutions.
Sure, sure. So great, Shubham. I again appreciate the opportunity. Being here, this is exciting because I've been an MOC since like 7 years, 6 years since inception, and I'm really glad that I've been given this opportunity to address all these students, out there. So quickly, jumping into the question which you asked, and I think it's so relevant because a lot of us get so excited about digital, right? I mean, all of us, right? Young, old, any generation. But at times when we start creating these digital apps and these experiences, we quickly start realizing that it wasn't as easy as we thought it's going to be. Right. So the top three reasons, according to my experience, I think the number one reason why a lot of these digital applications experiences fail is user experience. A lot of us believe or think, right? If you're an innovator, you think you have the experience, but we don't, right? And it's so important to actually put ourselves in the user's shoes and design for humans. Because at the end of the day, right, in the way you could say we've been born and brought up and the road based learning, we've almost become robotic in some way, right? And we're always aiming for the best product and the best experience. And at the end of the day, if you're looking to innovate digital experiences, innovate experiences and solve complex problems, you have to understand that you're solving problems for humans with emotions. And so user experience becomes extremely critical, to address. And the impact over there is obvious, right? If you don't have users being able to use, right, it's not intuitive enough. The screens are not intuitive, the experience is not so obvious, then you can't spend your energy creating user guides. I remember I come from that age where we used to train people to use systems. These days users will not even use your systems if it's not intuitive enough, it's not engaging. And so I think it's extremely important that we think about who we are creating for. And so which is a good segue into number two reason, is that if we are not able to build a product where we are truly empathizing for the people who we are solving the problem, do we really know their needs, their pain points, right? Do we really know how they think, how they feel, how they behave, especially their digital behaviors, right? Because the way I use my smartphone could be very different from the way you use that app, right? So that understanding of who's using it and how is it going to solve their problems and all that needs. And I think research is extremely critical. And the last thing is, once we build our product, the game has just begun, because just by creating a good experience and being happy about it is not going to cut it. We have to be able to advertise, market it, and launch it, right? So I think these three, I would say, reasons in my mind. Of course I can give you another 20 reasons why startups fail, but these three, I would say, is in my mind key critical areas that I think any innovator in the digital space should look at. Thank you.
No, I guess wonderfully put, Dr. Avinash, in the sense that very relevant to what these entrepreneurs are also building up. They must seek, okay, what is the real user needs, and not just for the sake of it, just build a digital product which is like not being used that much frequently. Okay, thank you. Uh, Over to Mr. Vilas. As there are many challenges for building and refining new products, which has been already listed by Hetal ji and Avinash ji, but which is the most important to create acceptability by customers so that it should stay for the long term? What do you think on that?
First of all, thank you very much, Shubham ji, for giving us opportunity and convincing and giving easy solutions to the students so that they can participate and win this boot camp. You see, a simple thing, there are so many products have been given and product can be built. That we are making a product which is MVP, that is minimum viable product. But if you do not refine it, what will happen? Your product will remain as it is. It may not have a big demand. People will not go for it, or it will remain as a product only. So refining is a must. So there is no option for it. Now for refining your product, whatever product you have decided, there is simple procedure. Take two papers. I'm just telling the student, take two papers. In one paper, write what is the strength and weaknesses of your product you have developed. And second paper, you write down what are the opportunities and challenges you have got. That's all. You write down 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you think of or doing. It is nothing but the SWOT analysis. You write down, you will understand. Then for what you do, the same product, find out from the market who are your competitors. There cannot be a product which you are invented, may not be invented by any. There may be some other features, Find out who are there and find out the features of that products also. And then how your product is user friendly, that you find out. So that is the most important thing, to do it before refining the product.
No, I guess a very simple technique, and kind of these tinkerpreneurs should use that as well, because there are almost every product is kind of a replicable now, and when it comes to the digital product, many features coincide. So they must have that extra USP in their product to be market ready and to be customer acceptable as well.
I can quote one example to the student. See the Nokia. Nokia was the best phone, but they are not refined themselves. And now they remain as the MVP. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you. Now the last question for this round with Mr. Kiran Kumar. Sir, how should we prioritize product refinements to address the market or the customer expectations?
Sure, Shubham. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and very happy to be talking to the students once again. And yeah, if you see some of, I mean, our earlier panelists have already talked about the need for refining, right? They have told you why should you refine it, why products fail, why businesses fail, why is it so important to refine the product. But now when you actually get to refine the product, what happens is there may be many things for you to refine. You may have a laundry list of things. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do this. So many things may be there. And what typically happens in the real world is you will not be able to refine everything, because it takes time to refine, it takes effort to refine, it takes cost to refine a product. All of these things are very, very important. And you need to manage all of these very well. If you don't do this well, again, whatever we refine and we put it in the market may not be what the customer needs or wants. So it's very important that we prioritize. We need to take up those laundry list of things on it, and we need to prioritize them and then pick up those things that are most important or most valuable for the customer. So we need to go find out what is the most important thing for the customer. So you need to prioritize that and probably implement those refinements first before you implement the other less valuable things for the customer. So you need to find out what are those features or functions that are must have. So we can classify this into like must have, desirable, and delighter kind of features. So what are those must have features or must have functions or requirements that the customer expects? So must have means the customer definitely expects them to have in your product. If you don't have those things in your product, most likely the customer is not going to buy your product, because maybe he'll find some other products elsewhere from other competitors who have those features or functions, and definitely he'll go there. So why should you come to your product? So make sure that you first prioritize those features or functions that are really must have. Then that should be in the top of your priority list. And then the second set of requirements are those which are desirable. The customer may say, yes, it's good to have these, but even if it is not there, I can wait for some time. Okay. And they're attractive, definitely. And if those features are implemented, it definitely improves the customer satisfaction. But at the same time, if you don't implement them, maybe it will lower the customer satisfaction to some extent. So these are the second category. So the desirable ones. The customer would like to have it, but it's not a must-have kind of thing. For example, if you are buying a mobile phone, and to give an example, if you are buying a mobile phone and the mobile phone, you cannot make a phone call, would you buy such a mobile phone? Definitely not, right? So the ability to make a phone call is definitely a must-have feature. Okay, but maybe having 3 cameras in your mobile phone may be desirable, but it may not be the must. Okay, so you may probably be okay with having 1 camera or 2 cameras, but not necessarily 3 cameras. So something like that. And there are features or functions which can, if they're implemented, they can really delight the customer. That means the customer had not expected it in the product, but you have introduced something which is really interesting for him, which is probably going to give, he's going to say, wow, this is fantastic. I'm going to use this. This is very novel feature. So this is the third kind of features. So you need to have something in each of these buckets. When you're designing a product, you need to have some must-have features and functions. You need to have something in desirable category and at least maybe one or two wow factors. Because if you had to stand out in the crowd today in a crowded marketplace with many products of similar nature, you need to have at least a one wow factor, which is the customer would definitely come to you just because of that feature, considering that all other things are similar or same with other competing products in the market. So this is the first way of prioritizing. But even then, even within your must-have, desirable, you have many things to still implement. So how do you go about it? So the second way of prioritizing requirements is to pick up those features or functions that are easy to implement. Maybe you can defer the complex ones for later. Pick up the simpler ones and implement it. That way you can refine the product with the simpler features first, and then take the complex features next. So this is how I would say you should prioritize the refinement of your products, because you cannot do everything at once. So you need to take it stage by stage. So refinement is not just a one-time job. Like from MVP, you don't suddenly refine and go to the market. Refinement happens gradually over many weeks, months, years also. So, but prioritizing is very, very important. Otherwise, if you think that you can prioritize, I mean, you can refine everything and then go to the market, you may be too late into the market also. By the time some other competitor would have come and he would have overtaken you. This is what happens to some of the businesses. So you need to be very careful about, you need to know exactly when to stop and when to refine, things like these. So thank you, Shiva.
No, I guess I wonderfully put, sir. It's not like you refine at one go. There must be a stage-wise process, and there must be a priority on what you want to refine first, and go on basis the different iterations. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, the audiences, we have completed just now the first round. Okay. What is the need for refining the digital product? Now, moving on to the second round, what are those stages, processes, phases, steps which you need to undergo for refining your digital product? Okay, so Dr. Avinash, Vilas Garaji has put a word called as MVP, minimal viable product. Okay, and we are also discussing it's not that only the first iteration you about all the refinements. So, why is it not advisable to build the best product, the perfect product in the first iteration itself? What is that low fidelity prototype, and how does it help to develop the MVP further? So, what is?
Yeah, surely. So I think a lot of us have great ideas. A lot of us has the experiences we want to implement. And in my experience of just working with students, even young entrepreneurs, that they always arrive at, I mean, I've heard this saying all the time that, sir, I've got the best solution for this problem. And the question I ask to them is, how do you know you have the best solution? Um, who has informed you about this, right? And a lot of the students will say, sir, but it's a very creative way, it's a very innovative way to reach out and to implement this, and it will definitely help the user. Again, I go back and irritate them and tell them, but how do you know, and who are you to say that it's an awesome experience you are delivering? So the reason why I probe a lot of young entrepreneurs who want to develop digital products is because people need to understand that when you're building a product, this is not about you. Yes, you will feel good along the way, but a more wise way of developing or creating a product is to accept this mindset of self improvement, that I may not have all the answers, I might have some idea, but the only way to know is when I go and create a little experiment or a digital app or some kind of a believable product without spending too much of money and time and energy. So, which is where that low fidelity prototype will come into action. And this low fidelity prototype, it can take all kinds of forms, right? It can be a little sketch of that new user experience you're creating on the app or the website. right? Which you can quickly walk through with the users, etc., etc. Now, the reason why I get very excited about this stage is because you are now creating a new experience without the risk of implementation, right? You're involving the users earlier in the design cycle in a very creative way and trying to really involve them in the process of creation, right? And by doing so, you're reducing the cost, the risk, and also the risk of over engineering. A lot of geeks like me, we get so excited about code, electronics, STEM, STEAM, all of that, and we say, so I've created a drone, I've got an augmented reality experience. But then I go back and say, so what? Whose lives have you changed by creating this, right? So that at times a lot of students will put so many features into the product, and which is, I mean, I want to warn students out there that appreciate your excitement, create like a little roadmap of features you want to implement along the way, but implement the ones that are really really essential, which will impact users immediately. And a great way to do it is how Kiran sir has advised you, right? Delight the things that you must have to do, the things which can wait. So I think it's extremely important to understand. I'll give you a quick example of Dropbox. I don't know if you're aware of Dropbox, but since I'm from the 18th century, I'll give you an example of a cloud storage which everybody is aware of, right? Google Cloud today, we take it for granted. But in the year 2008, we didn't have anything called the cloud. In fact, the word cloud didn't exist, right? It was all client server and all these things. But the Dropbox, these entrepreneurs, Drew Houston and Arish, they identified the need of reliable and seamless synchronization of files across platforms, across OSs like Windows, iOS, smartphone, etc. And in those days, we didn't even have anything like this. So I know a lot of this will be saying, I don't know, he's some ancient man, some Stone Age talking. I'm giving you an example of, in order to help you understand that they did not go live with all the features. The first thing they did was they created an MVP. And that MVP, you'll be surprised to know, was not a product. It was an explainer video. It was a simple video which explained how you can drag and drop across the screens. Now, the reason this Andrew did that is because he wanted to understand two things. Are users getting excited about this new experience? Are they able to see themselves use this experience? And two, right? Am I receiving a lot of feedback and interest about the area which I'm trying to innovate in? Because by using this without spending too much money, they could quickly, understand if there's a need for this kind of a product in the market. And I think is where the first stage of the complete product development is this. Is there a believable, usable, low cost prototype I can throw out there in order to get some excitement and traction from users? And then how do I use that and keep refining it? I keep refining it until I can, I can go live with it and then ask for investment, as opposed to, using up all your investments upfront.
No, I guess perfectly put, Dr. Avinash, and that is how we at Tinkerpreneur also kind of evaluate what we get at the end of it, like what the product you are building, will it excite the customers? We don't want a very fancy digital product from those 6 to 12 class students. We just want a kind of the nudge they are targeting towards building that digital product. Yeah, very relevant answer. Vilas ji, what are those important steps to refine the product to create stability in the market? What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah. See, when students, they decide the product, but when they are deciding product and they want to refine the product with the different features, they have to keep it in mind. All the students should keep it in mind that it should be used by common man in his or her day-to-day routine work. So your whatever, whether it is a services or a device, whatever you design, you have to first of all consider it for a common man. And the percentage of a common man is very high in our country. The next is that common man should afford it. Afford it means he should feel value for that product. Suppose your product you are selling for the 100 rupees, then your services, your feature should give a feeling of value of at least 105 rupees to the customers. And another most important thing is that whatever refinement you are doing for all these things, as far as possible, you should do it free to your MVP product. It should not be chargeable, or some critical features may be chargeable. And the availability of your services should be on a 24/7. These are the main steps I feel to make your product acceptable, and it will spread your product publicity by mouth. Because mouth publicity is the cheapest, means free, but the very fast growing publicity. It gives negative as well as a positive feedback also. So these are the important things that common man's needs. If you satisfy, then you will get. I can give you the simple example of a Google Pay or the Swiggy. You need not have to pay any fees for downloading Google Pay or a Swiggy. There are certain features you want to pay for, otherwise you are not to pay anything for that. And the services are being such a wonderful and easy to operate, even by not even a common man, but a person may not have high literacy, or they know only the figures or something like that. And that has become today, if you go to the market, people will demand, no, I have a Paytm, please give from Google Pay. So this is what is happening. So whatever product you are making, it should be made acceptable for a day-to-day and easy access. Thank you.
Thank you, Vilaji. You have just put in the right steps on how to refine your product. Hetalji, what should be the ideal time for product refining? I know there is no right or wrong or definite answer, but what are your thoughts about it? And what are the indicators which will help these tinkerpreneurs decide if the product needs refinement or not?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shubham. And I was initially, I don't know if you noticed me smiling when you mentioned the perfect product. And I was like, wow, Shubham is so smart. He knows there is something called perfect product, because I think all the panelists would agree there is nothing called perfect product in this world. And and I think that kind of closely relates to the comment from Avinash as well, that people say I'm going to make the best product. I mean, who told you that's the best product, right? There is no certifying body anywhere in the world which can say this is the best product, because someone's best product is another person's worst product, right? And it goes on. So coming back to refinement, as you rightly indicated, there is no good time for refinement and there is no bad time for refinement. The whole question is the kind of impact which the refinement or the changes, a simpler word can be changed rather than using refined word. I think some of the students might be looking up online and saying, what's refinement? Why can't you call it change, right? So making changes to the product is purely a factor of the need versus convenience. how easy or difficult it is going to be for you to make that change, and how critical that change is. Now, that criticality of the change could be based in terms of the quantum of time and effort involved in terms of implementing the change, the number of users who are going to be impacted, hopefully positively, by the change, though there would always be some people who are negatively impacted. So please don't discount that fact as well. And third, and the most important aspect, is cost. Can you afford to make that change? Or are you better off letting that okay ठीक सा product continue in the market for next 3 to 6 months till your user base has expanded to the extent where you feel that you are creating a much bigger impact on many more people? Number one. Second, if your product is already generating revenue, you are able to generate that extra bit of revenue, which allows you to be able to fund the refinement or the change with that extra money. And of course, if you're one of those lucky few people who's got an investor on board and there's a lot of funds and you're actually having a challenge using those funds, that's actually a fictional story. But if you are in that situation, then of course, all these factors become less important. You want to make sure that your product gets relatively better. And that's the word I use, relatively better. You can never make a perfect product. You can make it relatively better than what it stands right now. That's my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, HLB, for putting this together. Kiran sir, we right now in the midst of the boot camp, and students are learning how to refine the product and build the product. So can you
Sure.
give examples for how the students can refine their digital product in this boot camp?
Yeah, definitely, Shivam. In fact, most of the content is already there in the self-learning portal. But for the sake of clarity for the students listening to this session, I'm going to probably elaborate a little more and give some examples as well. In fact, in this bootcamp, we are asking students to build and refine their digital product in 2 steps. In the first step, they actually build just a product MVP, minimum viable product. So MVP is something which has just minimum features, which just to test or validate the idea and to see if it makes sense to take it forward. So maybe some ideas will get killed there, some ideas will go further. So it's a quick way to validate. And once you have gone past that validation, then you're clear that, okay, you're going to take this product forward. Then you get into the refinement stage. And that's the second step that I was talking about earlier. So when you get to the second stage, this is where you need to get the product to a market ready stage. Of course, in this bootcamp, we don't have too much time for the students to continuously refine, go through multiple iterations or multiple rounds of refinement. That is not possible. But we are just showing the process. How do you go about doing this? Okay. So don't worry. I would recommend to students, don't worry if you're not able to refine the product to a level where it is ready for the market yet. You still have time during the rest of the bootcamp where you can continue to refine and submit whatever best you can by the end of the bootcamp. Now, what does it take to refine? So in this bootcamp, we are asking students to just focus on 4 different things. Of course, there are many things in which you can refine your product, but we are just focusing on the most important things. One, we ask them to refine the product on the functionality. So when I say functionality, it means that's what a customer needs, because that's the most important thing. Whatever is the customer's requirement, customer needs, that should form the function of your product. That means the product does what the customer wants. If your product doesn't actually satisfy or meet the requirements of the customer is not going to buy your product. So that is the most important thing for you to address first. Make sure that you build the product to address the need or address the problem. That is what many students have filled in the product one pages also. So so for doing this, you need to get feedback from the customers also. In this bootcamp, you will not have much time to actually gather feedback, but try and do as much as you can. If you're building a product for somebody who is close by, maybe in your family, your parents, relatives, friends, or your school teachers, it's easy to get the feedback. That's one reason we say don't go and build something for somebody for whom you have no clue what they want. Okay, so that's one of the common mistakes I see students doing. So they try to build a fancy product for which they don't have any connection with the user. They don't understand the user. Obviously, whatever they build will be full of assumptions and it's not going to fly. So getting feedback early is important. Once you have built the basic functionality, Along with the functionality goes the features of the products also. Features are like something that allows you to use the product. They are like the tools and implements within the product that allow the user to use the product. For example, to give an example, let's say you have a search button or a search bar in your website. And that search bar allows you to search for information within your website. That's a useful feature to have. If you don't have that feature, it becomes difficult for the user to search for and find the information that they want. Or take the case of a chatbot. Maybe if you have a chatbot feature in your website, maybe it's a customer service chatbot, whoever visits your product or your website, they can talk to the chatbot, they can have a conversation with the chatbot, ask whatever they want, and they can get some answers. So these are nifty, useful things that you can build inside your product that will allow, that will exercise the actual functionality of the product itself. It will make it more useful to the user. So this is the features are very important. So make sure that you have the right features in your product. So implement and refine the features wherever it is necessary. The third and most important thing we ask them to refine is called the user experience. Under this umbrella, I would also club usability, aesthetics, and all of these. All of these go hand in hand together, although there are slight differences in each of these terms. So if you say aesthetics, it's like how the product looks like, the look and feel of it, the appearance of it, the fonts, the colors, and all those things. It should look good ultimately. And usability means it should be usable, basically. And user experience is the overall experience of using your product. So the flow of the screens from one screen to another screen, how do you go? Is it intuitive? Is the flow intuitive, or is it not so intuitive? Is it very cumbersome to use your product? You have to click 10 screens to get something done, or can you do it in like 2-3 screens, or just pressing one button, can you do it? Just look at the Ola or Uber app. So they're so simple and easy to book a cab, right? So you need to make it so simple and easy. Otherwise, the customers will definitely get frustrated and they'll stop using your product. So make sure that user experience is really, really good. And the most important aspect that we would like students to implement is the product quality. This is something inherent in any product. You cannot discount this part because quality is so important that you would never want to buy a product which doesn't work properly, right? If the product fails, if it gives error messages, you click some link and the link doesn't open, or you click some button, the button doesn't do the job that you want it to do, who would want to buy such a product, right? So quality includes many things. It includes accuracy, performance, reliability, efficiency, safety, security, lots of things. So you need to see what is really relevant to your product and build those quality attributes into your product. So that is the another important thing. Finally, I would say you need to package your product before you can sell it. The product by itself will have little value if you don't package it along with a few other things. For example, you may provide a guided tour of how to use the product. If it is a very simple product, great. It should be so intuitive. Ideally, you should not have any user guide, as one of the panelists said earlier. But some products may not be so simple. There may be a lot of things involved, multiple pages, multiple things to do, in which case you need to provide a simple tour of the product, how to use it, what are the steps in which I should use it. Otherwise, the customer will not know where to start, where to end, how to go about it. Maybe you can give a user guide, or you can also provide some sort of a support or a phone number, customer care number within the product itself, so that he doesn't have to go and search where to find the customer care if something doesn't work, right? So give some phone number or some email address so that if the user has some problem, they can contact you. So that is how we want students to enhance and refine the product. I know time is very short. Do as much as you can. I'm not saying that you need to implement everything in one go, but make an attempt, at least understand that these things are important, and see what best you can do. So that's what I would like to say, Shubham. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you, sir. So the audience, we have completed 2 rounds. One is the need for refining, and another is the stages and the steps you need to refine the product. In the paucity of time, I would just request panelists to go a little faster for the next 2 rounds. Okay, so we are coming up with the next round. It's how to build that wow product. Okay, so as stated by the panelists, there is no perfect product, but we can always vouch for a wow product. So how to build that wow product. So, Dr. Avinash, as innovators, yes, with these Tinkerpreneurs, these are expected to capture what the customer needs are, okay, and not just what they want. You have already stated that. What are the benefits of capturing such expectations of the customers, and how do we capture them while building? Are you there, Avinash? We
Yeah,
haven't.
sorry, I was speaking on mute. So I was saying quickly, in the interest of time, I'm going to go direct and speak to the point now. So see, it's easy to understand and listen to what users want. You can have a chat with them, you can look at the data analytics, right? A lot of tools are available out there. But the challenge becomes, and I think our job as innovators, as Steve Jobs has said, is your job is to know what they are going to want before they do, right? And a lot of my experience speaks to this, is that every time we sit with people to really understand, most of the time they don't always say what they want. Sometimes they will say something but they will mean something else, right? So your job as an innovator is to really look beneath those lines and to really understand what, why are they doing what they are doing, and how do I improve their lives, right? And so that difference between need and want, right? I can want anything I want, but your job is to give me delightful experiences, and in this case, digital. Now, thanks to the digital space, we have a lot of tools out there. However, I'm going to quickly introduce you to some offline tools and approaches, because I think it's important as designers to really first truly empathize with users. So there's this whole science on anthropology and ethnography which says, let's understand people first. Who are people and their needs, right? Human behaviors. And a quick way to do that is when I sit across and I'm having an interview or a chat with you to understand your needs so that I can go back and refine my product, is to not only pay attention to what they are saying they want in words, but also looking at the emotional expressions while they are talking to you, because these spikes in emotions, whether they are sad at times during that experience or they are extremely delighted with something in that experience. And I'll just give you a quick example. Suppose you're trying to innovate a grocery shopping experience, and you are intending to hopefully include some digital technologies along the way in that shopping experience. Be you're improving the ability to search for products on the aisle, or say seamless checkout, right? If you're doing these things, it's important you really sit with these people to really understand how do they shop, and in the process of understanding, look at their emotions, because the emotional cues, the non-verbal cues, are great ways to really untap these challenges and pain points which they also don't know, right? And by addressing that, you can create wow experiences, right? The other ways are quite there in terms of behavioral analytics. You have heat maps, you have video recordings of interviews, or say how they're interacting with your app. You have a lot of other kind of scientific ways like attribution analysis, click path analysis, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but all these interesting ways to really understand users is available. And those entrepreneurs and those I would say startups or product creators who want to always beat the other competition is always looking for these implicit needs, these hidden cues which are not so obvious on the top. So I'll stop right there.
Thank you, Dr. Avinash. Hetalji, don't beat me while I am asking this question. Why is it important to give customers a wow experience? Obviously, there should be, okay, but what if we do? Is the main question here.
Yeah, I was remembering that funny meme which has been floating, as beautiful like a wow. No, I think wow experience is important because you want your product to stand out. And for it to stand out, it can't be just delivering the functionality. Like I have this bottle, right? This is a simple bottle. It doesn't give a wow experience. But if I say that it's got a temperature indicator at the top, which tells me what's the temperature of the water that I'm consuming. And it can change as the temperature of the water changes. Now that's wow, right? So it will help me for the same bottle to stand out in an aisle of bottles. It will be something which will spread by word of mouth. It will be like, अरे हेतर ये तुमने bottle कहाँ से ली, मुझे भी लेनी है. And then you know what happens? Once the wow element is there, the price becomes secondary. And especially in a price conscious country like India, to be able to bring in one or two features in a product which makes the customer want the product regardless of the price, it's huge deal. And trust me, while a feature like this can probably be replicated, but the first mover advantage can actually make a lot of difference in terms of how fast you can scale up the market, how fast your brand can spread, and it will stay with you for a very, very long time, right? And that can actually be a huge advantage in how you grow. So that's my summary. Make a wow product. It's important to make a wow product so that you can stand out in the crowd and garner a larger market share and probably stick around for a much longer period of time. Thank you.
Very nicely put, Ketanji. Vilas ji, I know there is no particular one feature which you should include in your product to make wow. But what are those important, or what is that feature of your product which makes to go it wow?
You see the wow product. Wow product means the customer is not expecting the features which you have given to them. If it is something beyond their expectation, then they say wow. Because when somebody is going to buy something, as you said, the water bottle, the customer will never think of the temperature indicator. But if his customer sees the temperature indicator, he will say wow. So wow is nothing but beyond their expectation. I can give you some example for the wow products and all these things. You know, for olden days, we all young people, we were young, and all young students, they know the cycles, bicycles, hero cycles. Every model of a hero cycle is a wow for every different student, depending on the cost, the features, but every feature. And that hero cycle has become a hero Honda for the people who are a common people. Today, if you find a milkman brings his milk cans on a Hero Honda motorcycle, which he used to bring on a cycle. So that they have created a wow product from Hero cycle to the Hero Honda with affordable price. Then practically no maintenance cost, same as the cycle, and 24/7 services. So the wow product is the only product which appeals to the customer more than his expectation, and then it becomes a value for them. That's my
Rightly put together, Vilas ji. Now, Kiran sir, how can students create a wow product using some of the digital skills they are acquiring in this bootcamp?
Yeah, sure, Shubham. So I'll give one or two simple examples and keep it really short. So if you see the Tinkerpreneur Bootcamp, students have been acquiring many digital skills. They've learned how to build a website, a chatbot, Google Forms, animation videos, podcasts, QR codes, a lot of things, right? And even with these tools like this, it is definitely possible to create a simple product. It may look simple, very simple sometimes, but it can actually create a wow factor. I'll give you one very, very simple example. That example is also on the portal. You may think that it is nothing big deal, but it can actually create a wow factor. It depends on again the user. Let's take a simple school textbook as an example. The textbook typically has lots of text, some pictures, some graphs, and things like that. Typically, at least I found reading textbooks a lot boring. I don't know how children feel about it, but the key challenge that I personally had when I was in school was there's a lot of theory. And of course, there are some pictures here and there, but beyond that, I didn't have much to really, everything I had to imagine things myself. Say if I were to read something about some historical thing or something, I had to imagine stuff. But what if you could take that simple, so simple QR code, take a QR code, take a printout of that QR code, stick it on different pages of your textbook. And that QR code, when scanned, maybe one QR code will open a virtual tour of a historical monument like a Taj Mahal or something. When you're reading about Taj Mahal, you can actually scan the QR code and you can visualize Taj Mahal in a virtual tour. Or you could open up a video, a YouTube video, or something of your own, or you open up a website to give more details. Or it could be in the form of a chatbot or a chat GPT where you can, because the student can actually go and find out more information, ask more questions and find out more information. So again, many of the students may find this little more interesting than simply reading the textbook and trying to imagine things in their heads. They can now visualize things, they can hear things, they can probably listen to some podcast or some animation video or a virtual tour. That may create a wow feeling in them. Again, it depends. It may have them. For those who are already used to it, they may say, oh, think that, okay, this is okay, I've already seen this. But for somebody who's a young boy or young girl, the first time they're experiencing it's definitely a wow factor. So coming back to the wow factor, I would also say that wow is something that will stay wow for a while, but once it becomes mainstream, it may lose its wowness. So as product designers and innovators and business people, we had to continuously reinvent and bring something new every now and then. So if you have to really delight the customer, we need to keep bringing some wow factor, because whatever wow was, what was wow yesterday may not necessarily be wow now, because people may take it for granted after a while. So you need to bring something new. So there are many more examples. I have one student in my group. His name is Advait. He has created a simple ebook. It's about learning Sanskrit grammar and things like that. And he has added simple audio icons inside the book. So when you click that icon, it actually speaks to you in voice. So if you have a complex Sanskrit word and you don't know how to pronounce it, you just click that icon or you tap that icon in the ebook, it speaks to you in voice and tells you how to pronounce it. I felt that as a wow factor because I had not experienced that kind of thing in many of the books where I read, especially when I had to understand a complex word, I don't understand how to pronounce it, then it becomes very nifty feature and it creates a wow factor. So there are many more things like this. I can go on, but let me stop here.
Thank you. With this, we are coming on to the last section, which is very important for all of you Tinkerpreneurs, is what are the skills, aptitude, and mindset required to build a successful product. Okay, so Vilasji, what mindset is required to build an affordable and a sustainable product? Very quickly.
Yes. The many products are built and not being used or sold in the market that we have seen in many of the startups and all these things. So the mindset of a creator or innovator should be such that it should be for the people, for their day-to-day problems. Any service product, digital product should be created or developed which can make their daily life easy so that their traveling and other headache is. I'll give you the example of Amazon. It's a big one. But Amazon has created a model to the common man, even to bring, if they want to get the dhania or potato or onion, anything, and that also on your time period also. They ask you what is the time you require, 7 to 9 slot, 9 to 12 slot. So such type of a services, you take the services of Ola and Uber, There are many services available. Ola taxi is there, Ola rental is there, Ola two-wheeler is there. And this is all services through an app. The app doesn't require any cost for downloading it and doesn't require any skills for using it. So it is very important whatever you develop should be such that in a busy schedule of a common man, he should be in a position to use it and order it. While traveling in the train or bus, he can get the food from the Swiggy, whatever food you want. That's what I would like to say.
Thank you, sir. This is an important mindset. Dr. Avinash, what are the key soft skills required in designing digital product?
Yeah, sure. So see, the three big soft skills I'm going to tell you, and I get very excited about this because of the world we are living in today, and I think we need these skills, right? Everybody has big ideas, but when the rubber hits the road, if you want to be a successful tinkerpreneur, entrepreneur, you have to get obsessed about solving human-centric problems, and we have enough problems in the world today, right? So the first thing I would say, and they don't teach you this in school, is bring back your curiosity, that ability to ask questions, challenge assumptions, um, question everything around you. Because ask any adult, any senior person, the world we are leaving behind for you is not the ideal world, right? I wish we could have all done a better job. But with that said, you have that curiosity in you. You can keep asking questions because um problems get solved when you ask the right questions. The right problem statement itself is an art, right? If you can't design the right question with the right kind of customer understanding, you won't get great ideas. So curiosity is number one. Two, I would say empathy, right? Again, become obsessed about understanding who we are solving the problems for, not just how they think, but also how they feel, right? And lastly, I would say you cannot do this alone. You have to work in teams. Co-creation is very important, right? We can say, okay, I have a friend who also is excited about the idea, we'll work together. It may not work. A friendship is not teamwork, okay, and a teamwork is not the goal. The goal is to create something together from diverse points of view. That means I bring something unique and you bring another thing unique, but when we add A plus B together, the output is greater than the sum of the parts, right? So here co-creation and collaboration I can't stress enough, because these kind of complex problems which we are going to, which you guys are now attempting to address. I have teams who are talking about women empowerment, health issues. All these things are complex, these are wicked problems, and understand that without that curiosity and without that collaboration, it's not going to happen. That deep empathy, ideas everyone has, but how do we work together to make it happen? So these three, I would say, are the top three softer skills, if you want to call it.
Hetal ji, the entrepreneurs right now is in the process of learning the skills and kickstarting their journey. What is the best way for them to build the essential skills for product development you see together?
So I think the way to build essential skills is obviously to join the Tinkerpreneur program. Once you have done that, the most important skill is to seek mentorship and network. Because if everyone learns the same thing, everyone will build the same product. Now, we providing you a platform for learning is probably just the starting point. How you use is different. How you use is where you start asking more questions, you start talking to more of your friends, you start brainstorming on more potential ideas, reach out to potential mentors, not just we here on the panel, but anyone who's been assigned to you as a mentor. Your mentors in school, your father might know someone, your mother might know someone. Please network as much as possible. I cannot emphasize enough on the potential for networking. Second source of wisdom, of course, is books. So please read as many books as you can. I'm a big fan of reading, and I would encourage to all the students to try and read books on different topics, expand your vocabulary, expand your knowledge base, and you'll never know that suddenly one fine day you might get a secret idea for a unicorn from a book which you never knew existed. And that would be a wow moment for you. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question of the day. Kiran ji, how does building and defining the products add value personally as well as society at large?
Yeah, definitely, Shubham. This is my favorite question also, because I think is if somebody were to take building or refining the product seriously, and they get into this products game and they take this seriously and they work diligently, it can actually deep work. It can actually do a lot of wonders deep within a person. One thing is, when you start building a product, you become more observant of things around you. You become very sharp. You have to develop that sharpness to identify needs and problems of people around you, and you become more empathetic, because unless you can empathize with people's problems, you cannot solve their problems. And once you become empathetic, it will also make you more focused, because the moment you identify a problem, it forces you to think creatively to solve those problems. And when you start becoming creative, all your creative potential will start coming out from you, and you'll start getting great ideas on how to solve the problem. And once you start getting ideas, it forces you to take action, because you need to solve the problem, because the problem is sitting in your head. And unless you take action, it's not going to go away from your head. So it will force you to take action. And you need to finally fulfill the needs of people who are having that problem. When you do that, you actually become happy, especially when you see the smiles on people who are facing the problem, and you give them a solution, you give them a product, they use it and they benefit from it, and you see the smile on their faces, you will also feel happy. So this is a great sense of satisfaction that you get. And in the process, if you keep doing this, you will develop a greater purpose and meaning in your life. This is very, very important. You need to develop that greater purpose and meaning. And over a period of time, you become adept at identifying problems and solving them before others can identify. You can do that. And you can become a role model for others, and others will start following you also. And especially when you start touching the hearts and minds of people and make a positive difference to their lives, then you can achieve greater success, right? And of course, you can develop wealth also in the process. That is secondary, but most important is to make that positive difference. And when more and more people like us come together and start making that positive difference through our product, services, or whatever, then the society will automatically improve and it will become better. And at the end of the day, what do you get? More than anything else, you get great happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment. You'll have joy, and you will be a happy person. So there are a lot of things for you to achieve if you take just this one thing seriously and chase after it. So that's all I would like to say and conclude my brief
Thank you.
advice.
I guess this has been a wonderful panel discussion today. And the kind of the witty answers, the kind of perfect answers which the Tinkerpreneurs might be looking forward to. We have already overshot 10 minutes of the time, so I won't take much of the time. Just to thank you all the panelists to be here, share your wisdom. I was just reading about the experience, and we have right now more than 125 years of experience in the panelists. So I would just request all the Tinkerpreneurs who have missed this session to please hear the wisdoms of all the panelists later as well, if you haven't got the chance to attend today's session. And if you have any doubts to any of the panelists, you can also write to us. We will just forward it as is. Thank you for being a great audience, and thank you all the panelists for joining us. That's all for today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shivam. Thanks to all the panelists.
Thank you.